James was just pulling out on their line from the station ahead. Any minute, there could be a crash. "It's up to you now, Duck," cried the driver. Duck put every ounce of weight and steam against the cars. "It's too late," Duck groaned. He veered into a siding where a barber had set up shop. He was shaving a customer. Disaster lay ahead. Something sticky splashed all over James. Gordon was cross and didn't care what he did. He waited till the table was halfway round. I'll show them, he hissed. He moved slowly forward to jam the table, but he couldn't stop himself and slithered into a ditch. "Whoosh!" he hissed. "Get me out! Get me out!" "Not a hope," said his driver and fireman. "You're stuck, you silly great engine. Don't you understand that?" They got out just in time.
Sir Topham Hatt thinks I'm really useful. I had a race with Bertie once. I whooshed through the tunnel and stopped an inch from the buffers. Then Thomas made his mistake. "Just like this," he boasted.
He saw Emily coming. He listened for her toot, toot. But Emily didn't toot at all. This made Gordon very cross. He was so cross that he didn't see the signal telling him to stop. And he didn't see the goods train ahead until it was too late. Luckily, no one was hurt, but Gordon came off the rails. He was covered in gooey red jam.
Diesel, thinking he could get away with his bad behavior, was ruder than ever. Next day, he was shunting freight cars full of china clay. He banged the cars hard into the buffers, but the buffers weren't secure. The silly cars were sunk.
Then he raced across the countryside. "Ha!" laughed Thomas. "I can get these trucks really messy and get the coal to the docks on time." Then there was trouble. The rusty coupling broke. Thomas's trucks were rolling by themselves. "Cinders and ashes!" cried Thomas. Thomas applied his brakes, but he stopped too quickly. The trucks bumped into the back of Thomas, and the coal spilled all over the tracks. Thomas was stuck. The branch line couldn't take his weight, and the rails buckled. "Oh, help!" Gordon cried as he slid off the tracks and into a field. Whoa! Whoa! No one was hurt, but poor Gordon felt very undignified. What will Sir Topham Hatt say? He groaned. He started to puff down the other side. Thomas tried to go slowly, but the troublesome trucks wanted to go faster. On, they cheered. Thomas went faster and faster. Cinders and ashes, Thomas cried. Salty was at the bottom of the hill. He was waiting for a signal. He didn't know Thomas was coming down the hill. Thomas was out of control. Thomas braked as hard as he could. But the freight cars of fish were too heavy. Oops, said Thomas. Sorry. Salty was covered in fish. Never mind me, Artie, said Salty. The smell reminds me of the sea. Thomas puffed into the yard and backed up to the paint freight cars. But Diesel was in the yard too. Now I'll show Thomas who's best, Diesel whispered, and he gave the freight cars an extra hard shunt. Paint cans flew into the air and splattered down all over Thomas. There was green paint, yellow paint, and red paint. Thomas looked very silly indeed. Stripey boiler, laughed Diesel, and he rolled away. I'll show those Diesels, puffed Thomas.